Wednesday night, Hot Water History, episode 188. Richard, what's going on?
Nice to get back on the saddle or back in the saddle again, back on the old horse.
Is it true the government's shutting down? The federal government is
It's
shutting
shut
down.
down right now. We
How,
say
how are we
shut
going to
down, but that
survive?
doesn't, yeah, we say shut down, but that doesn't include the essential spending. So the old
Right.
people are still getting their social security checks and the like, and the military is still getting most of their pay.
Well, we had a bye
They'll get their
week.
back, they'll get their back pay with interest. We don't get interest because of the bye week.
Yeah, we didn't get our game. We didn't collect our game check last week, but the last episode was, we haven't done episodes since the Charlie Kirk one.
Right,
What's
right.
been on your mind the last couple of weeks?
What's been on my mind is you'll recall that we began that episode with something of a lament on my part that bordered on the misanthropic, namely that my patience is running out with the people who are just accepting of the official narrative of the cathedral. And I'm, in an odd way, very happy to say that my patience is even thinner as more and more of these developments unfold, not just the more and more conclusive proof, and whether it's testimonial or evidentiary or forensic or whatever it is, the evidence just keeps piling up to a mountainous degree that there were nefarious and sinister and very organized efforts to get rid of this guy and all of the interested parties who, both in the short term and the long term, would benefit from his erasure, his elimination. It's pretty obvious. And then I still have to couch any talk of that within a framework for people that I have to sort of lead them down a primrose path to have them understand that this is a conspiracy of that has massive implications, and that, as I said, there were a number and series of cabals, very interested groups that would have and probably are already benefiting from his elimination. And then we have, but then we have Pope Leo, Pope Leo the 14th, who, ah, I mean, you remember our Pope Francis episodes where you asked me, is it at all satisfying that your predictions about the heretical insanity and real lack of charity that an anti-pope would eventually embrace and espouse, act upon too, that all of these things came to pass? And it's taken all of what, about 4 months since his election, that Pope Leo the 14th is predictably, to anyone who was at all aware and not willfully ignorant of the path of the imposter and ape church that many of the current members of the episcopate have long signed on to, that this was going to happen. And he's just proving me right. It's just now I feel as though I'm not just hitting singles and little looping line drives, right? My batting average is 1,000 here about what was going to transpire within the church, my predictions about what was going to transpire vis-a-vis Leo and his coterie of, well, pseudo successors of the apostles. And I feel as though, man, all this stuff seems he's going far beyond what I could have even imagined in terms of the heresy and the apostasy, all the way straight to, I feel as though my slugging percentage is going way up. I mean, my OPS is through the roof. It's in Ruthian and Bonzian territory.
So do you feel good about that?
I take a little solace more so in it because for two reasons. One, because there are two groups that I have little to no respect for whom I have little to no respect. And of course, one would be the progressive Catholics who continue to assert themselves as members of the body of Christ, but are just working and efforting toward its evisceration and its demise, its true demise. And then those who subscribe to whether they're what we want to call them trad Inc. or the conservative Pope splaining, but also trad community that are very much involved in benefiting economically from the relatively recent construction that is Catholic alternative media, and how prior to the or during the conclave, whoever spoke of Robert Prevost as papabile warned of his background, his clearly leftist leaning Francis 2.0 dispositions. And then the next day after, so the alarm bell sounded on the election. Then the next day, word got out from the donors to these websites, media personnel, and personalities. Let's give them a chance. This is not popular with even your run-of-the-mill trads and conservative Catholics, as they are and were. And now the shroud's removed, all in a couple days, in a few days. And Charlie, you can go ahead and walk us through what's developing that the shroud has been lifted.
Well, he blessed an ice cube. I don't know how many.
Well, should we? I want to do a meme of just the guy Ice Cube where he's giving Ice Cube blessing, which should have been infinitely better if he just blessed Ice
Ice
Cube, the
cube.
Ice Cube, right? Rather than just some random big block of ice. And if you think that this is all fabricated and Charlie and I are just making this up whole cloth, well, should we show him the video, Charlie?
We can show him the video.
Okay, let's go ahead and show that. So there he is. Now, after that blessing, is that holy water? I don't, because it's going to melt eventually, yeah. And
Right.
then he didn't do the correct exorcism of the water or proper blessing with the salt in the old rite too. So is it effectively holy water? It's somewhat holy water. Anti-papal, somewhat holy, maybe water from an ice cube.
It looks like a South Park episode making fun of the Catholic Church.
Well said. It's as if Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they must be sitting at home in wherever they live in Colorado, maybe, and maybe I don't know, probably in LA. They must be saying, "We got the next episode written, and they're doing it for us.
But I could
Should we
just
send
see
the check?"
Cartman. I could just see Cartman because it's always snowing there,
Right
right?
there, you
It
go.
just they that's their way of making fun of it is that they bless a block of
Yes,
ice.
brilliant. Yeah.
So that they got it written for them.
Hmm.
And then also
And
Dick Durbin gets a pass now.
right, not only does he get passed, he was supposed to get an award, a lifetime achievement award, a lifetime of dedicating himself and his energies as the malfeasant senator from Illinois of all states. By the way, the economic, social, cultural condition of Illinois has gotten better or worse in that 40 years, objectively speaking. Okay, well, I think we all know the answer to that. And then
40 years
pseudo
of
bishop
service.
and yeah, 40 years of service. Pseudo bishop, anti bishop Supich goes so far as to desire to give Dick Durbin an award. Can I offer a theory about why Supich pursued this? Beside the obvious that, as so many have pointed out from Philip Lawler to Michael Matt, that the church in these large dioceses and archdioceses are wholly owned subsidiaries. The church has become a corporate entity, if you will, an outreach and propagandic arm of the state. So one hand is feeding the other here by granting or giving Dick Durbin an award so as to ensure or at least get in the good graces of those who hold the purse strings, not literally in the case of the Senate, but for all intents and purposes, and to get in the good graces so that the 30 pieces of silver keeps coming for the bishops. That's pretty obvious. Might I go so far as to say that because his eventual resignation slash retirement will be accepted in Rome, this he's Supich is embracing this YOLO kind of thing. You're only bishop for so long anymore. I don't know what the acronym for that would be, but so might as well just slap the people and the faithful in the pews who he has abused for the past however many years he's been bishop and archbishop and cardinal over Chicago. That's my theory.
It's just a way out move
Well, it's
out of
a
here,
kind of coup de
anyways.
grace. It's a coup de grace. It's you faithful Catholics, the choir, let's call them the choir in the loft and in the pews of the church. You didn't buy my springtime within the church coming with me from Spokane. So your continual resistance to my mentor and patron, that'd be first McCarrick and then ultimately Francis himself. And now he's accomplished the elevation of Prevost. Supich was the kingmaker in part at the conclave. So he's elevated him. He's like, one last slap, one last indignity that I'm just gonna because I have the power to do so. It reminds me of Nero just understanding that the finances of Rome were in shambles, and so he's gonna build the Colossus anyway, even after he built the Domus Aurea, the House of Gold. So as to bring final ruination, but also the projection. There's a ton of messaging there saying that, oh, you think I'm beholden to the state? Well, yeah, I am beholden to the state. And here, I'll just show you how beholden to the state I am. And you can't do anything about it because my guy's in Rome anyway, right? But those are the actions of a flailing, you're just a flailing failure on so many levels. Because ultimately, as much as he was able to push forth all of the deplorable and evil and ugly reforms that came from Rome and that also he desired during his episcopacy or term as the bishop, the Archbishop of Chicago. He he has to understand that it wasn't effective at the end because it doesn't pertain or hold to the truth of the faith.
You want to
And
talk about
there's got to be a rage. I would argue that there's a rage going on there. I mean, no one, even the supposedly progressive and liberal body of priests in Chicago, and then in the surrounding area of diocese under which or over which he serves as metropolitan, they all hate him. They all hate him. He's got a vinegar face. He's he's very much a dullard. But he, like Francis, has this joy that comes from the wrath of being a tyrant and being able to coercively dictate to people because of his authority and office what to do. It's really gross. And he must see the writing on the wall that it's coming to an end. So one last indignity, one last um dishonor. That's my theory.
perhaps we should have explained to anybody that hadn't seen it yet, but a reporter was asking Pope Leo about Dick Durbin getting this Medal of Honor, and she was pretty much saying, how do you feel about this? He's kind of been pro murder babies with
Kind
his
of,
stance.
kind of. He's been,
How do you feel about that?
yeah. And so finally the question got raised to the level of Rome and the papacy itself. And just so happens we have an American Pope, so you can't blame the translation anymore, as our dear friend Trevor Alcorn posted on Twitter from Trinity Brewing. So you can't blame the translation, nor can
This
you
is
blame that
plain English.
just plain English, babe. Plain English, and you gotta you gotta just take a step back and maybe have some admiration for the lying. I mean, he's lying. Isn't it obvious? He says that the obvious and totally unimportant and unnecessary lies. He says, "Well, I don't know very many of the details in the case, but here I'll talk about this senator who I know is from Illinois who served for 40 years, and here's exactly the situation, right?" So of course he knows the details. And how could he not? He'd have to be head of his head in the sand by this point. And then of course he throws out the
The death
seamless garment of
penalty. Yeah.
life. That's yeah, the seamless garment of life. That's well, you can't truly be pro-life except if you believe like Francis that the death penalty is inadmissible, as he changed the catechism, even though a series of popes dating back to Innocent the First in the beginning of the 5th century AD spoke in defense of rightful civil authorities. That doesn't necessarily mean just the state. It could be someone that has a rightful authority, has the ability to, as expiation for the taking of a life, in response, in proportional response, in a deterrent fashion too, engage in capital punishment. But and let's get rid of the Council of Trent Fathers and the consistent teaching of the church. And you might say, well, of course, the Holy Scripture speaks of it. Yeah. Holy Scripture speaks of it, whether we're talking about Genesis or Romans and the like. Yeah. But then beyond that, it's like we have Pope Pius XII. We have a 20th century Pope who is explicit in saying it. John Paul II and Benedict under him said Catholics can believe, and it's open to clear, in many cases, subjective determination, circumstantial and selective determination, whether uh, the penalty of capital punishment can be applied. And and this isn't casuistry. It's just in these circumstances, the principle can be applied, as the church has traditionally taught. And here's Francis and Leo saying, "Oh, you're not pro-life. You want to play the clip?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do
We
that."
should have played it before.
Just wanted to ask one thing that has become a bit of a divisive subject in the US right now, with Cardinal Supich giving an award to Senator Durbin. Some people of faith are having a hard time with understanding this because he is or rather, he's for legalized abortion. How would you help people of faith right now decipher that, feel about that, and how do you feel about that?
I'm not terribly familiar with the particular case. I think that it's very important to look at the overall work that a senator has done during, if I'm not mistaken, 40 years of service in the United States Senate. I understand the difficulty and the tensions, but I think, as I myself have spoken in the past, it's important to look at many issues that are related to what is the teaching of the church. Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. So someone who says that I'm against abortion but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. So they're very complex issues. I don't know if anyone has all the truth on them, but I would ask first and foremost that there be greater respect for one another and that we search together both as human beings, in that case as American citizens or citizens of the state of Illinois, as well as Catholics, to say we need to really look closely at all of these ethical issues and to find the way forward as church. Church teaching on each one of those issues is very clear.
Thank you.
Satisfied, Charlie?
No, I'm actually not. Lying or playing dumb.
What about can we take a step back and just think about and evaluate the semantics of it, the diction, the argument itself? It's so Francis. It's so ape church. It's this meandering, going nowhere. There's not even a logical syllogism of any coherence in it. It's a bunch of false assertions that leads to this odd conclusion that you're not pro-life if you believe that there are within concise strictures proper and moral employment of capital punishment. You're not pro-life then, or if by the way, too, isn't it interesting that he declares that he doesn't know very much about the particular case at hand, but then he just assumes that Dick Durbin's stances on immigration and the death penalty have been so utterly in line with the Catholic Church's position, or what the Catholic Church would hold and maintain is moral activity of a statesman or a public figure. So then, therefore, there's ambiguity about whether it is appropriate or not to give him an award. Do you see that?
Right.
Whereas, again, what we have to do, we have to understand that thanks to Elizabeth Yore and other great and heroic figures in this fight, Catholic Charities in the United States was responsible for not only engaging in the illegal importation of illegal immigrants and migrant children into the United States. They were the main facilitators, subsidized by the federal government to do so. And then they purposely lost track of the children. And Dick Durbin was senator during that time. How is that appropriate? How is that fitting and consistent with Catholic social teaching? Lose track of the children and give them to who? Sex traffickers in the United States? Leave them to the whims of those who might have and might still be abusing them in anonymity? We don't know where they are. How is that keeping with Catholic social teaching? And Dick Durbin was always there. He was, in fact, there on the Senate floor declaring that it's racist for the wall to be there, or it's racist to have immigration standards, and that the efforts of Texas were, I mean, we could bring up the speeches, the efforts of the state of Texas and Governor Abbott to limit and curtail the illegal immigration of unaccompanied minors into the country, that this was somehow wrong and racist, and all of the, the vacuous bromides and names that were tossed out for anyone who wanted to uphold the basic decency behind the law, the established law. And then, of course, you add on to that, right? I mean, do you remember Dick Durbin being this amazing advocate against capital punishment? We're from Illinois. I don't recall any of that, right? Was he leading the charge to exonerate men on death row? I mean, he might have gone to a party or something like that, or a cocktail party of the people at Northwestern who try to do these things. Yeah. But was he some sort of vocal public advocate? I don't remember. I don't recall that.
Leo ends the
Mm.
quote with, "Church teaching on each one of these issues is very clear."
It is. But guess who's made it ambiguous? At least the official projection of church teaching, and it's Francis and Leo. And when the Pope and the bishops failed to speak with utter clarity on already well-established precedent and principles of this profundity, of this gravity, well, what does that do? But it naturally invites just speculation and then ambiguity and a shrugging of the shoulders as to what to do in these serious circumstances when one must act in a moral and with religious conviction, whether it pertains to abortion or naturalization of peoples, migration of peoples, especially if they're refugees, if they're not, what have you. Yes, there's established church teaching on this, and you've muddied the waters. So don't declare that now, of course, the church's teaching is clear on this. You've made it ambiguous, or at least you so muddied the vision that anyone can claim pretty much whatever they want as it speaks to their own relativistic conclusions, as you and Francis do. I mean, if the Pope is going to be relativist, then what's the purpose of having the teaching be clear at all anyway? And this is all aiming, as we alluded to prior to hitting the record button, to what I think is the grand project of course, modernists within the church and progressives, but also those operatives that have been long working within and conspiring against the holy body, the actual body of Christ, to bring it into this universalist, beige, milk toast, ultimately unbelieving church. It has been the goal of Talmudic Judaism, uh, Judaism, and it's been the goal that matches the stated mission of the Freemasonic movement against the Catholic Church, and communists also from Belladad onward, working to dismantle the body of Christ that has been a stalwart force against depopulation, against socialism, against communism, and against moral and religious relativism. It is that bulwark against those demonic forces. And the more that the church is weakened, her reputation sullied, her teaching mollified, and made incoherent, the more their mission moves toward completion and attainment. Speaking of that, do you want to take a look at some? This is going to be a clip-heavy show, respective of a previous episode we've had. Let's take a. Do you want to take a look at that clip from the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah?
Let's do it.
This is wild. This is wild. Go ahead. Let's play this one.
The greatest lie humanity tells itself is that we have outgrown human sacrifice. We call it by different names now and make our offering to different gods. We offer young men we call soldiers, as if the designation means that their mothers cry less when they die. We call masses of humanity collateral damage and turn our eyes away from the pictures of their lifeless bodies as we sip our morning coffee. And the truth is, we don't do it because we are heartless. We do it because we believe that it is necessary for the world to keep running. We do it because we believe that the gods whose favor we so desperately seek, freedom, security, prosperity, flourishing, that they demand blood as the price of their favor. We do it because we cannot see any other choice. And maybe that's why we read the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, on Rosh Hashanah. Because the story of the Akedah isn't about inconceivable obedience. When Abraham prepares to sacrifice Isaac, he is just accepting the same bargain of blood we still accept today, that some need to die for the world to flourish.
That one's just
There
eerie.
she is. That is, isn't it? I mean, talk about saying the quiet part out loud. Female rabbi or whatever she is, just expressing contempt for true faith, right?
And everything is quoted as to make the world go forward.
Yes, yes. Linear progression, very Hegelian, right? Very
Yeah.
Marxist. They always speak of the day that's to be attained. Yeah. Never fear, though. The Vatican announced a few days ago that Leo's going to release his first encyclical on the feast day coming up of St. Francis of Assisi on, you guessed it, economic and ecological concerns. Let me just
You're
venture to
you're gonna
guess.
be flipping through that.
Let me venture to guess that Murray Rothbard's not going to be quoted.
That's gonna be a page turner for you,
Milton
right?
Friedman's not going to have a page.
You're gonna have unlimited ammo after this.
Yes. Yeah. I have to say again, I do derive some, and maybe this is what several trad sphere commentators in the space have declared, that ultimately this organized, but not in a formal sense, but just organized and reconstituted refusal and resistance movement to the mechanizations of heretical popes that are and apostate popes and prelates who are blessing blocks of ice and having Arnold Schwarzenegger in to lecture them about ecological concerns and climate change and buy into the globalist hoax, the next globalist hoax, whatever it might be. All the while, so yeah, the I've gotten some traction because I think all of this is diversionary, right? You have a true genocide happening in the Holy Land. You have an ongoing and conclusive war that the powers that be don't want anyone to know is conclusive, so they can funnel more arms to kill more Ukrainians going on. And I've gotten some traction on Twitter. I keep hitting at Pontifex too. I've gotten some good reactions from faithful Catholics. Shouldn't the Pope go to Gaza? I keep imploring him, go to Gaza. Isn't that what Peter would do? Go to the most devastated, the most victimized in the land where Christ's footsteps hit dirt, right? Go there. What would be the reaction? I've discussed this with several people. The reaction of the general normie is, well, he could get killed. Do you what trepidation? I'm
Part
sure
of
there
the
was a natural trepidation, but when Peter and Paul went to Rome, and the aforementioned Nero is there, blaming fires on Christians in Trastevere and the like, did they go there with anything but absolute vivacious, passionate faith in the incarnate Word and resurrected Lord? And they went there in the belly of the beast, the lion pit, to be killed, but establish Christ's church on earth so as to redeem it from the pagan gods that had gripped the world and the demons that ran amok, whether they be Mars or Beelzebul or Baphomet or Baal. And they went right into the heart and said, you can crucify me upside down, you can behead me, but by the command and out of ultimate faithful love in the incarnate word of God, I am here to proclaim salvation and say it in the most dramatic fashion, in the most humble, but the most dramatic fashion for the redemption of the world. And meanwhile, he's this atrocity, everyday atrocity, children mutilated, fathers killed. This isn't a war, it's a human eradication campaign. Go there. Go there. If you die, you die. Yeah? But wouldn't you have, if you were truly on fire with the true faith, to go there as the Pope? Remember, he has an ordo caritatis because of what he's called to in his vocation as a bishop, to shepherd the faithful. The faithful there, right, at the Holy Family Church in Gaza, are being shelled. Go there and protect them by your mere presence. And by the way, could you think of another way in which world opinion would shift than if the Israelis shell Gaza City as the Pope is there? I mean, even Joe Biden had enough gumption to go to Kiev, correct? But the head of the Roman Catholic Church, Christ's body on earth, the supreme pontiff and successor of Peter, is going to spend his time while this genocide is going on. This epic, this epic crime. He's going to be blessing ICE. Or in the next clip that we'll show from here, he just speaks in mealy-mouthed Masonic language about what? Syncretism and just making Catholics believe in a Baha'i type of faith. That's just a weird, non-existent amalgamation of what? fraternity of man and goodwill. Dude, you are the successor. Go and proclaim Christ crucified and resurrected like Paul did. Go all the way to India like Thomas did. Get dragged through the streets to death in Alexandria like Mark did. Be an apostle. You're not running the Salvation Army. You're not Lila Rose and throwing galas so you could get dressed up with your 20 and 30 something somewhat hot fellow pro-lifers and expend the vast majority of donations to your organization on dances or balls or whatever you're doing. You have none of that. In your celibacy, in your embrace of the evangelical vows, go and defend those who have no one to defend for them. Whether that's in Gaza, which is probably the second most dangerous place on earth, or the womb, which is by far the most dangerous place on earth. And instead, you mealy mouth and you acquiesce and you have no gumption, no courage, no virtue to not even condemn a fellow bishop who's going to honor someone who not just advocates for the slaughter of the innocents in the womb, but wants to force Americans in the richest country in the world that happens to also be the most indebted and bankrupt, poor Americans, rich Americans, everybody in between, to pay for the slaughter. Lifetime Achievement Award. You're giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to Tiberius. You're giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to Pol Pot. You're giving a Lifetime Achievement Award to someone who sits in the background and cheers on the slaughter. I mean, is anyone going to discuss that the guy should have been excommunicated?
Yes.
The very fact your Supich is a horrible bishop just for not doing anything vis-a-vis the care of the soul of Dick Durbin. He's celebrating rather than calling to conversion in a John the Baptist fashion. This guy walking his way to hell, burning for eternity. Oh, let's give him a Lifetime Achievement Award. He's not going to be winning any awards in heaven. Better give it to him here.
Let us pray that believers in different religious traditions might work together to defend and promote peace, justice, and human fraternity. Lord Jesus, you who in diversity are one and look lovingly at every person, help us to recognize ourselves as brothers and sisters, called to live, pray, work, and dream together. We live in a world full of beauty, but also wounded by deep divisions. Sometimes religions, instead of uniting us, become a cause of confrontation. Give us your Spirit to purify our hearts, so that we may recognize what unites us, and from there, learn again how to listen and collaborate without destroying. May the concrete examples of peace, justice, and fraternity in religions inspire us to believe that it is possible to live and work together, beyond our differences. May religions not be used as weapons or walls, but rather lived as bridges and prophecy, making the dream of the common good credible, accompanying life, sustaining hope, and being the yeast of unity in a fragmented world. Amen.
That was great. Did you want to talk about this last clip?
Yeah, which one is this one? Remind me. We got so many clips on this episode. Oh, is this the one with the
Ex-head of
The
Mossad.
ex-head of Mossad, or is he a deputy head of Mossad?
Ex-head of Mossad.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is what and anyone who's just even taken a very terse glance at American slash Israeli, you can interchange those, foreign policy and actions, it just always leads to the death of Christians. It just, and this is where insert the Tucker. I don't understand that. I don't understand. I don't get it. Well, get this. It just so happens that the Jewish regime, when they have an apartheid state, and then they have the big bully on the block, militarily, the United States doing whatever it wishes it to do, it always ends up killing and eradicating Christian populations. Syria, Iraq. I saw a graphic the other day. You know, Iran has some massive amount of Christians and churches within it. It even has a thriving Jewish community in it, right? So we're led to believe by propaganda that Israel is a democracy. It's a diverse democracy, which it's not. It's a radical ethno state, an apartheid state. Meanwhile, Christians and Jews live relatively peaceably in Iran, and we're to condemn the mullahs for their theocracy. Yeah, that's the theocracy that we're to condemn. Which country has launched wars, aggressive wars? Which country has attacked American vessels? Which country? Again, I suppose you could say Iran attacked vessels. Of course, it announces it whenever it's going to do it, when it's going to bomb an American base. So just don't get too mad at us, sort of thing. But when the Israelis attack American interests, man, they hit buildings and they hit politicians. They carry out assassinations. They assassinate political figures who might be president in Utah. They do it all, man. Not, we joked last episode, man, whatever happened to that Iranian band that even Matt Gaetz fell for, that the intelligence agencies were saying was out there to kill Trump, right? No one's talking about that anymore because no one believes it. It's just an Israeli made up talking point. So, yeah, it always ends up killing the Christians. Wild how that happens, huh?
Should we play the clip?
Go ahead. Sorry, I went off on a tangent a little bit.
There have been reports that Israel has been treating wounded Syrian rebel fighters in its hospitals on the border, including fighters from Nusra Front, which is, of course, the al-Qaeda proxy in Syria. Do those reports worry you that Israel's helping wounded al-Qaeda-aligned fighters?
As I said before, in a different context, it's always useful also to deal with your enemies in a humane way. And I think that when you have people who are wounded and you can deal with them in a humane way, the considerations as to whether to take them in are not simply whether it's politically useful or whether it's politically
So it's purely humanitarian, you say. So there's no tactical or political strategic...
I didn't say there's no tactical. I said the main consideration, the immediate consideration is humane.
But the tactical issues involved, I mean, you know better than me the phrase blowback. You don't think there's going to be blowback against Israel if you get into bed with a group like Nusra Front?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be blowback.
Why?
Because I think that, unfortunately, the rules of the game in Syria are such that you can do anything that is not possible to be done anywhere else.
Yeah, I think people said that in Afghanistan too. Would you also treat Hezbollah fighters?
No, I would not treat...
Have you not just contradicted what you told me
No,
60
I've not
seconds ago
contradicted,
about humanely treating your enemies?
No. I think as far as Hezbollah fighters are concerned, with them we have a different account.
So let me be clear, you're happy to treat al-Qaeda fighters, but not Hezbollah fighters?
We have a different account with Hezbollah, a totally different account, because Hezbollah has carried out the type of actions against us which preclude us from going into what the Al-Qaeda has done. Al-Qaeda, to the best of my recollection, has up to now not attacked Israel.
But it's attacked your number one ally and protector and sponsor, the United States of America. There is a quote-unquote war on terror being going on for 15 years.
I like the Tucker point you brought up a lot. Where does that happen?
Why is it? I don't understand. Yeah.
That makes sense there. The blowback. You surely know about blowback.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think there's going to be any blowback here?
Yeah. And we were just talking about the revelation of the method that the Archbishop of Chicago deploys in his waning days as bishop. But you really get a sense, too, that the powers that be are really stepping it up, right? When you have Al-Jalani, who's the current president of Syria, right? I, and it's so obvious that it's amazing that ISIS or ISIL or Al Qaeda, they never attack Israel, right? And now there's word, of course, that as that former head of Mossad had said or alluded to, that the Israelis provide healthcare and battlefield aid, ambulatory care to Al Qaeda fighters in Syria, in the occupied areas of Syria. But when it's asked, there's another clip of another individual says, "Well, what would you?" And he said it in this clip. What would you help Hezbollah? No, no, not Hezbollah. So these are just creations. They're creations of Tel Aviv and the CIA, and they always destroy the Christian populations in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Palestine itself, in the Holy Land, in Syria, in Iraq. Iraq. I mean, it just still galls me. I was listening to Tucker's second series on 9/11. Have you taken that in yet? It's pretty good. I really like it so far. And he was talking about how Paul Wolfowitz and Donald Rumsfeld, of course, and Condoleezza Rice, who's just the most. I detest these individuals, but Condoleezza Rice has made a whole career of being an idiot. And just because she was a black woman conservative, she gets to. I mean, it's wild that conservatives, if you ask like your run-of-the-mill conservatives, they love Condoleezza Rice. Why? I mean, you're just DEI. That's DEI Condoleezza, yeah. And how all of them rushed illegally to again after 9/11 just say, oh, Al Qaeda in Iraq are one, and even though obviously Saddam had nothing to do with Al Qaeda whatsoever, and Al Qaeda really would target Saddam for a multiplicity of reasons, but Tariq Aziz, who was the essentially prime minister or number two in Iraq. He was an Iraqi Christian. He was an Assyrian Christian. I mean, you had a vibrant. I remember because I was in the order at this time, and there still are, but of course they're much smaller, large Dominican religious communities in Iraq, especially in the north, but scattered throughout the country. And now those communities are just absolutely under fire by agents of Tel Aviv and the CIA. It's amazing. Tucker always asks that weird question. I don't understand. The most peaceable religion, the one that says pay your taxes, the one that says be charitable, be kind, give alms. The most anti-war religion is the one that's always targeted by all the warmongers. Why is that? I don't get it.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but it's been a while since I've talked about a town a little closer to home.
That
Do
town
you want to
being-
talk about a town a lot closer to home?
Yeah, one I was recently in. I took pictures from enemy territory for you. Here it is.
Here it is, people.
Meanwhile in Oak Park.
Should we go to your gay suburb now?
The People segment, meanwhile in Oak Park, brought to you
Had
by Trinity Brewing.
Had the worst hamburger ever.
From
Maybe
do you want to share?
Yeah, I just went to this restaurant. It was the worst hamburger I've ever had in my life. I never send food back. But I told the waitress, I said, I can't even eat this. This is terrible. And now I'm a little bit worried that they recognize me.
You
They
sent it
recognize me
back?
because the segment. What's
You
that?
sent it back?
I didn't even send it back. I said I don't want to send it back because you're gonna bring out another burger that I'm sure is gonna taste like this. So I told them I don't want anything. I'll eat the cold, awful fries that are with it.
Wow.
The waitress was nice, but I said this is inedible.
Police station cost estimates now promised in November. Finance committee evaluates building projects absent village hall renovation, police station costs. So we've been talking about this all year.
Boy, what a beautiful building that is.
Oak Park Village leaders are in the thick of budget season, but a detailed discussion on the cost of the village's new police station and village hall renovations are still at least a month away. At a meeting of the Village Board Finance Committee September 25th, Village Manager Kevin Jackson said, Our goal is to come back to the village board sometime in November to talk about that project and provide some cost estimates. Obviously, this budget will need to be amended once you make some decisions on those facilities. The document suggests that construction is expected to begin next year. Current funding amounts are placeholders to be further defined as part of the design process that will start in the fall of 2025 and continue into 2026. Construction is currently expected to begin on a possible first phase, including construction of the first police station, of the police station in the 2026 construction season. This gets pretty boring. I'm just going to flip through these first two. We've got an awesome third one. Meanwhile, the draft of the capital improvement budget for 2026 includes spending nearly $900,000 over the next 2 years to replace or upgrade HVAC and electrical systems within Village Hall. Blah, 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 blah. Waste of money. The Public Works Center updates include installing solar panels and a new roof compatible with the solar panels.
Yes.
Those upgrades combined are projected to cost the village roughly $3.8 million.
That's a very expensive roof, isn't it?
The Public Works Center is already an all-electric building. Wow. Okay. Here's the last paragraph of this. The system will significantly reduce the facility's reliance on grid-supplied electricity, lower operational costs, and support the village's sustainability goals, staff wrote in the plan. To maximize efficiency and minimize disruption, the installation will be strategically coordinated with the scheduled roof restoration project. This integrated approach ensures optimal system performance, protects roof integrity, and leverages construction timelines to reduce overall implementation costs. Once operational, the solar array is expected to generate substantial annual energy savings and contribute meaningfully to the village's long-term climate action initiatives. 3.8 mil new roof.
For a
Just
roof.
sneaking that in there.
For a top to a building.
This one's kind of funny. Quote, robust equity discussion, the focus of D200 board meeting. Community members ask for curriculum equity advisory group to ensure fair access to honor classes and more.
All the signs they made. No one's under 500 in that crowd.
Walking gingerly with a wooden cane, George Bailey stepped to the podium Thursday at the Oak Park and River Forest High School District 200
He said,
Board of Education
Clarence
meeting.
told me to come here. George Bailey. What if I died? What would have happened?
Quote, there are a lot of people here working for change, said the Oak Park resident.
Yeah.
Many of those community members were holding signs that read, imagine educational equity for all our OPRF Huskies and those things that are best for all.
Yeah, gosh.
At points during the 7 public comments, speakers, including Bailey, held up their signs so board members could see them. That's a real sentence.
We held up signs so others could see them. Shit, Sherlock. Why else would you hold up signs?
Other community members present were from African American Parents for Purposeful Leadership in Education. That's Oak Park's APPLE, is the acronym there, including President Melanie McQueen, along with representatives of Activate Oak Park and Congregations Networking for Social Justice.
Those all sound like just people you want to have a beer with, right?
Yeah, when do they meet? And what do they do?
Bitch and moan. And make up stuff to bitch and moan more about.
The pair noted that over 80% of freshmen are enrolled in honors classes in English, history, and science, compared to no more than 47% in the years before detracking. Okay, so this is the big talking point here about how everybody should be in honors classes. One chart showed that while an increase of freshman honors students has occurred across all ethnicities since students who graduated in 2022, Black students are significantly behind. About 60% of Black students in the class of 2026 are enrolled in honors classes compared to over 80% for all other ethnicities. It was a similar story with another chart that showed sophomore enrollment in advanced placement and honors courses. Just under 40% of class of 2026 Black students are enrolled in AP and honors courses. All other ethnicities are at 60% or higher. When you think about 80%, 85% of our students coming into the honors curriculum, that's not the case for our Black kids, said board president Audrey Williams Lee. Our Black kids are coming in at about 60%, so our kids are not starting at the same starting point.
No, they obviously are, but they are starting at the same starting point. It's about whether they go into the classes. By the way, it's it seems as though don't they have an open enrollment for AP?
I don't think
So
so.
it's the kids that are electing not to do it? They don't have it? Oh, okay. I'm shocked that they don't have an open enrollment for AP classes.
Yeah, this is pretty, it doesn't get that much more interesting than that. Williams
Yeah,
said, and Bailey agreed post meeting that the discussion was robust.
as long as
Quote,
it's robust.
I felt that there were people in there who were beginning to hear us, Bailey said, about what we see in the real world, boots on the ground, not filtered through what teachers are going through, though that's important.
Huh? Is that did Pope Leo write that?
No, that was
As long as
Williams.
we need to have mutual understanding. That's what's most important.
Still, regarding the
Dialogue.
district's racial equity priorities, striking disparities also persist, he said. We now must place this data next to multiple reports calling for more support resources to achieve equity for all students, but especially our Black and Brown students.
Oh man, they're just not. They're all aboard the equity train. Even if they achieve it for a millisecond, then millisecond after that, there's inequality, natural inequality. But let's keep warring against that ghost. Sure is expensive for other people too.
Equity will continue to be a key part of the board's approach this school year, according to member Dr. Jonathan Livingston, who said that while the data is substantial, he quickly pointed out that, quote, it's not enough.
Dr. Jonathan Livingston, he has his doctorate in what, nuclear physics?
At that point, someone in the gallery said audibly, thank you.
This is all such self-satisfying virtue signaling. They're just going to talk about this and just put themselves on the side of what they feel is moral and upright, and then nothing's going to get done, which is just perfect because they can keep on going to the meetings.
This is the story I'm really excited for.
Uh-oh. Welcome to Oak Park, neighbor. That's the title of the story.
This is a,
Oh, it's an editorial?
yes,
No. It's or is this a letter?
Mark Nickelbein.
Is he someone who works for the Oak Leaves or the
No.
Wednesday Journal?
No.
Okay, so it's a
You'll
citizen
find that
letter.
out. You'll find that out pretty quickly.
Oh, sorry.
Hi there, new neighbor. Let me introduce myself.
My name is Hope D.
My name is Mark, and my wife and I have lived in Oak Park for 37 years, where we raised our family. Let me tell you a few things about our village. First, I hope for your sake that you are politically left-leaning. Oak Parkers take pride in their progressiveness, and many are eager to let you know it by displaying lawn signs and flags announcing their virtuous beliefs.
Ooh.
Our elected village board places diversity, equity, and inclusion above all other considerations when making decisions. In fact, Oak Park is now a sanctuary city for transgender people, in case you are concerned about this issue. And the village recently blocked some of the entrances to the village hall parking lot so as to impede ICE incursions. Now, ICE agents wanting to visit Village Hall for any reason will have to park their vehicles on Lombard Street.
How are they going to get over that?
And years ago, Oak Park declared itself to be a nuclear-free zone, in case you were worried about that. Of course, we have a public library, although it has changed to reflect the cultural and societal needs of the community. Back in the old days, the library was a place where you would go to check out books, study, or do research. Now it is primarily...
Wait, can I stop? Is this going where I think it's going? Like, this guy is on our side?
Yeah,
Oh, this is fantastic. I can't believe they published this.
I know.
Holy shit. Okay,
We
keep going. Sorry,
might be healing.
my heart is all at Twitter.
Now it is primarily a gathering place for political activists and a daycare facility for homeless people. I've noticed that there are still some books there. A carefully chosen selection of them are displayed in the lobby to inform you of the socially relevant literature the library staff thinks you should be reading.
Oh,
I see that you have young children. Before you moved to Oak Park, you undoubtedly researched the quality of our public schools. They are pretty good. In fact, when your kids reach high school, they're guaranteed to be enrolled in honors classes because at OPRF High School, there is an honors for all policy for freshmen. We're proud that OPRF is ranked by the Illinois Report Card in the second highest category, commendable, among the state's high schools. OPRF used to be in the top category, exemplary, but commendable is still pretty good, I guess.
oh man.
Police protection, police protection? Well, we do have a police department, but not everyone in Oak Park is keen on having a police presence. A few
Mhm.
years ago, nearly one-third of voting Oak Parkers voted to defund the police in a non-binding ballot referendum. We have a sort of compromise whereby the police are housed in a cramped, outdated facility in the basement of Village Hall, and the force itself is understaffed. So I guess we tolerate our police, but don't want too many of them around, or for them to be too comfortable. By the way, I see that you have a gas-powered leaf blower in your garage. Well, you can't use it here because the village has banned their use due to the huge volumes of greenhouse gases they produce. I have an extra leaf rake in case you need one.
This guy. Oh man. Savage.
Of course, all of these wonderful things come at a price. Our property taxes are among the highest in the area, so you may want to put off buying furniture and accessories for your new home and instead put that money aside for when property tax time comes around. Well, neighbor, that's my 2 cents worth on what to expect living in Oak Park. Maybe I'll see you Saturday at the farmer's market. Bring your dog and be sure to tie a kerchief around their neck.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. How do we get a hold of this guy?
Mark Nickelvine.
Oh,
I don't-
Mark Nickelbine. If you hear this, if anyone knows dear Mark, oh my gosh. Oh, there's more.
He's written before. So he's getting
Oh,
they
wait,
let him
Julian. He mentioned the Julian house. Rehab is non-essential.
is not essential. They didn't let him space it. They didn't
Right.
add the space for him. I don't know if that's him or them. We got to read this. This
I'm
is just
surprised this
three.
guy has not been. Yeah, go ahead, because I can't wait to hear this, but I can't believe this guy has not been sent out on a boat somewhere, you know,
This is December
and in
23rd, 2024.
or in stocks. Anyway.
As residents of Oak Park know, our property taxes are high. I love this guy.
Yes.
All of us who have received tax bills recently know this all too well. Accordingly, we should expect that our village board would be taking a hard and sober look at how our tax dollars are spent and prioritizing projects and services from essential to, quote, would be nice to have. Essential services start with maintaining excellent police and fire services, maintaining our streets, sidewalks, sewers, etc. Next level priorities should include updating Village Hall and construction of a new separate police station. The Oak Park Village Board recently set aside $1 million for the purpose of rehabbing Percy Julian's house and perhaps paying the overdue property taxes of Dr. Julian's daughter, who currently lives in that house. The board also decided to go ahead with the plan to make a celebratory Percy Julian streetscape on Chicago Avenue near Julian's East Avenue house. Far from being essential, these are feel-good projects and should not be funded by the village, given the current state of our tax burden. The Julian family home is just one of thousands of private homes in our village, but seem to have been elevated to the level of shrine because a prominent black scientist once lived there.
Yeah. Oh man, it's as though he did listen to us and stole our words there. Level of the shrine. Yeah. Go ahead.
Likewise, it's unfortunate that Miss Julian cannot pay her property taxes, but the rest of Oak Park taxpayers should not be on the hook for her debt. No doubt many cash-strapped Oak Parkers would also like to have the village of Oak Park pay to rehab their house and to pay their property taxes.
Man, just claim that you're the daughter or son of a, or better, a trans of a black, I don't know, lesbian physicist, and I think you'd get on the list, wouldn't you?
It seems that all of this is another one of the village's attempts at, quote, restorative racial justice. These projects, rather than being funded by the village, should be crowdfunded instead. 10,000 households out of 23,000 in Oak Park contributing $150 each would more than cover it. Given that Oak Park comprises people who are both relatively affluent and, by reputation, progressive and compassionate, it would take only modest contributions by like-minded folks to fund these Percy Julian legacy projects. Let's send this guy some Second Amendment Tridentine beer.
Oh, we got it. Yeah, we have to
I
get.
want to have a beer with this guy.
Yes, yes.
I want to talk Oak Park with this guy. This
Oh,
guy's
definitely.
he's been living here with his wife 37 years. This guy's got some stories. This guy
We-
knows what it used to be like.
You know what we need? We need a hot water history episode with Mark Nickelbine at Mike's bar in Berwyn, where
Oh, where
right
where the
when where all the
gangbangers are?
shootings and all the criminality goes out into Oak Park. That'd be amazing.
This guy's a beauty.
Yeah, good for him. God bless you, Mark Nickelbine. If you're real, if that's not a pseudonym, whoever you are.
That's the people segment.
Yep. Boom.
Meanwhile in Oak Park.
What would have happened if I'd gone for it and just said, no, I'm gay?
Mark Nickelbine has an open invitation to join us here at any time.
It's got to be a pseudonym.
I would think so.
Maybe it's not. I'm going to do some research.
Do some digging, Charlie.
But yeah,
All right. Well, that was a fun episode.
One of the more fun meanwhile stories a
Yeah,
little
for
bit.
sure. I feel like that was very cathartic. I feel lighter.
Lighter, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't forget to laugh at it all, right?
That's right. Laugh at the absurdity.
Yeah.
That's what our Lord would do, right?
I think so too.
Yeah. So until next time.
Yeah. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
God bless.
Earlier this week, actor Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live. Among them that, quote, Hollywood is run by Jews. The Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again.